Greetings, everyone. Alan here. Thank you again, trolls, for having me on the show. I'm currently coming to you live on recorded video from my cellular telephone, and if my theory is correct, you are seeing me in the Space Quest 2 wristwatch. Remember, don't accept any wooden buckazoids. I really don't feel EGA, but who knows? Maybe I really am. Anyway, let's get down to business and discuss these awesome little gems. Hello, trolls, and thank you once again for having me on your show, and greetings to everybody else out there watching this video. And I gotta say, first of all, that I never thought that my pack rat ways from back in the 90s would ever actually pay off and, mean anything cool. Like, I mean, I remember, like, these games, okay, we could say, we'll call them novelties. I mean, in a way, they're kind of gems, though, because, they originated in a time when the Space Quest fandom was still, like, it's not that it's, dead now. I mean, there's been a resurgence. It's still there, but back then, okay, let's be honest, it was a bit more enthusiastic, especially since, as far as we knew, Space Quest 7 was still on the horizon until, we all got that wonderful email and I believe it was right around Christmas time, so that made for one hell of a Christmas present. But anyway, that's another video for another time. So anyway, about these particular games, like, I remember, I forget the exact website where I found them from, but I was browsing the virtual broom closet, and there was a topic about a bunch of different games, and I said, oh, cool, there's actually, like, fans out there making, games about Space Quest. It's like, what's gonna happen, of course, and I know trolls will be especially really thrilled when he discovers that a good 90% of them are Astro Chicken. But then there's a couple of other ones that are not really Astro Chicken. They're, like I said, they're novelties, because, they originated in a time when, the fans are like, hey, I want to do something cool. And, like, I never used Click and Play personally, but from what I read, it was really easy to use. And I could have back then, even with my, lightning speed 56K dial-up modem circa 1997. Like I said, this was back in the day, and, instead of actually having a social life and, trying to date women and do things like that, I came home after school and I said, you know what? I'm gonna look up Space Quest stuff and other movie stuff, and then that's basically how I came across these games. And I remember there was one website, I forget the exact name of it, but they would have, a game would be released almost every week, and I'm like, yes! And this was back, I think at this point, I had just upgraded to a Windows 95, and I was really impressed about, like, from the change, because having come from Windows 3.1, I'm like, wow, you can actually rearrange icons. You can set your own themes to your desktop. In fact, I had a couple sound bites from Space Quest 6 that I actually used as my opening and closing to my desktop. In fact, my opening was actually a bit of the bar theme from Space Quest 6, and my closing was Gary Owen saying, "Now you've done it! You've really done it! Hang on, here we go!" And then, you hear the toilet flushing sound from Space Quest 6, but I digress, I'm just rambling. So anyway, yeah, I mean, these games were a lot of fun. Like, they were frustrating, but they were fun too. In fact, like, growing up around Nintendo games and, Space Quest games and adventure games in general and video games, I'm used to, games are supposed to be frustrating. They're supposed to challenge you. You're supposed to be up all night, being like, how am I going to get through this? Like, first time I got Mario 3, when I beat the first Koopa Kid, I'm like, yeah! Alright, so, that's, pretty much all I have to say about that, and, I'm glad I could, dig these up for you guys, and, I hope you enjoy the playthroughs. See you on the Chrono Stream, fellow time jockeys! Oh, there is just one other thing before I sign off. You're probably wondering, which one or a couple of these games are my personal favorites? And even if you're not wondering, I'm still going to tell you anyway. Personally, my number one favorite is Eureka Trash Pickup. That game was really cool, had an awesome soundtrack, and even though it's basically a knockoff of Space Quest 5, it's still a lot of fun. My second favorite, though, is definitely Escape from Valhall's Asteroid. Unfortunately, I had problems getting this one to run on my particular emulation, so hopefully Trolls will have better luck than I will. But yeah, I really loved it's, just a classic arcade. It's Roger, escaping the asteroid circus, Space Quest 2, dodging all these different things, like, the kissing alien and Arnoid and all these different things. And then the music was awesome, though, because you have this rocking rendition of the reformat countdown sequence from Space Quest 4, and for me, like, that really got it, because, like, I've always been, into music, and, like, that was one of my best things about it. So, in fact, there'd be times where I would just play the game just for the sake of listening to the music, even though, I've never beat it. I don't know if it is possible to actually beat it. Same with Drellian Disaster or Deltor Disaster. I'm not sure what that game actually wants to be called, because it seems like it calls itself both simultaneously, which, okay, double identity. I'm not here to judge. So yeah, those are my top 3, and alright, I'm really gonna go this time.